ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules, and thank you all for bestowing me this opportunity to perform Siva. Thank you to the administration for giving me the opportunity to grow, learn, and guide me on this path. Sangat ji, whatever I say today is based on my own interpretations of the teachings of the divine, so I beg your forgiveness for anything I will say in advance, ji. Sangat ji, during this time, please keep your mind focused on the Shabad Mantra, whatever shape or form that may be. Sangat ji, today I would like to reflect on the qualities of the mind, how the mind is influenced by Maya, what these mindsets are, and how they shape our very paths, affect our habits, and how we can move away from the Maya mindset to that of the divine. So, Sangatji, to start this, there's two interlinking factors to discuss: quality and Maya. First, looking at quality. What is it? In layman terms, this is the standard of an aspect measured against others of a similar kind. Effectively, a certain degree of excellence towards something or someone. When relating this to the mind, it is the measurement of our thoughts and actions that will shape the very fabric of our nature in this world. Effectively saying, we are what we eat. Positive thoughts generating positive habits, and equally, negative thoughts generating negative habits. Now, when we say Maya, what is it? And this being the second aspect to discuss. In its most layman form, it is the veil of illusion surrounding this world, effectively separating those who have not found self-realization within from the divine. In this separation, we remain ignorant and delusional to the aspect of the grand illusion. This emotionally attaching ourselves not to the divine, but to the grand play in front of us. Thus begins the endless cycle of the pursuit of happiness through our own desires of Maya, born within us, chasing entities within this illusion, born from the innate desires within. For each desire geared towards Maya, we create not only a temporary dopamine fix, but condition ourselves that we can only find satisfaction through the worldly desires that satisfy us for mere moments out of our entire lifespans, creating the karmic paths and its life cycle. Now, looking at quality and Maya, and when we combine the two, the divine teachings tell us that in this world, in the play of Maya, it is broken down into the types or states of qualities that exist within us all, and that we may fall into during our time in this world. This is known as the Dragon. What is a Dragon? The three modes of Maya, the three different mindsets, also known as the three gunas: the Rajagun, Tamagun, and the Satgun. Each mindset driving our desires, our thoughts, actions, moods, words, and reactions within this world. Now, when we say guna, this also means a rope, meaning that the rope of Rajagun, Sadgun, and Tamagun has tied our soul to this illusion. So, what are the different Dragon? The Rajgun is the quality of energy and activity, effectively the passionate, ambitious mindset. The Tamagun, the quality of darkness and inertia, the ignorant and deluded mindset. And the Satgun, the quality of purity and light, the pious, knowledge-seeking mind, all of them encompassing within Maya. In Gurbani it tells us this. Tre gun Maya mool hai, vishhom mein naam visar. The three qualities are the roots of Maya. In egotism, one forgets the name of the Lord. Roots that are dug deep within us. But what exactly are these roots? The world of each gunas. If we dive into each of those worlds, starting with the world of Tamagun, the quality of an ignorant, deluded mindset, also known as the lowest quality mindset. Here, the mind is foggy, full of doubt, restlessness, and in sole pursuit of the base desires that may harm ourselves or others physically, mentally, and spiritually. An animalistic type of behavior, lazy, dull, and clouded mindset, blinded by Maya, where divine values are devoid in their own sea of pain. Long ago, in the forest of Andhra Pradesh, there was once a man named Goda. Goda lived a very animalistic type of behavior and lifestyle. He would prey on lost travelers within the forest, kidnap them, take them back to his hut, and eat them. A cannibalistic way of life. Living his dark desires, Goda was focused on solely satiating his hunger, no matter the cost to those around him and to himself, and would never think twice about eating someone. At this time, it was also the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Guruji was traveling through this forest with his two companions, Bhai Palla Ji and Bhai Mardana Ji. And during this time, they had been trekking for miles and miles. And feeling their tiredness and hunger, Mardana Ji went into the woods to search for food to fill his and his companion's stomach. Goda, seeing this, followed Mardana Ji like a predator tracking his prey, kidnapped him and took him back to his hut. As he did, he began preparing to eat Mardana Ji by heating the cauldron and throwing Mardana Ji within it. As he was doing this, Guru Nanak Dev Ji with his other companion Bhai Palla Ji came to Mardana Ji's aid. Goda, seeing both of them, became ecstatic, thinking that he only had one to eat, now he's going to have many to fill his cauldron, and that a big feast awaits him. However, Guruji, seeing this cannibalistic act, was unfazed by these developments and simply walked calmly towards Goda, chanting the mantra of the divine. The closer Guruji got, the more uneasy Goda became. For Guruji had no fear that Goda would eat him or his companions. And as Goda was trying to cook Mardana Ji, the burning water of the cauldron did not hurt him, for the fire had simmered. And seeing this, Goda was confused. He didn't understand what was going on, and looked at the Guru in confusion. In return, the Guru simply smiled and said, "Why do you cast yourselves into the burning fires of hell? O Goda, you do not see what you do. Blindness has taken you." Goda, in his own realization, seeing and listening to the Guru, fell to his feet and begged for forgiveness of his own actions. The Guru, full of compassion, forgives him in an instant. It's said that after that, Goda, who committed such deeds, became a devout student of the divine, changed his lifestyle, and followed the path of the divine. Now, there's many variations of that event, but two aspects always stick out. The first being how the mindset of the Tamagun can drive us to a deep, dark path that is hard for us to entangle. And with this, a lack of self-reflection and awareness of ourselves, our behaviors, our actions remains prevalent within our daily lives, driving ourselves deeper into the infinite maze of Maya, losing ourselves completely to the grand play. And secondly, that irrespective of the guna, of the mindset that someone is in the company of the holy, in the Satsangat, even those in the deepest, darkest pits who take those opportunities in those moments can be freed from pursuing their animalistic desires. Just as Goda, who reveled in eating human flesh, so did the same man forsake such actions in the pursuit of the divine path. For in the company of the holy do we learn, grow, and are inspired to be better. जब ही शरण साध की आयो दुर्मत सगल बिनासी तब नानक चेत्यो चिंतामन काटी जम की फांसी. When I came to the sanctuary of the holy saints, all my evil-mindedness was dispelled. Then, O Nanak, I remembered the Chintamani, the jewel which fulfills all desires, and the noose of death was snapped. An individual may be caught within a mode of Maya, but to escape the trap, we must sit with those souls who have escaped themselves, not talked, but walked the path, the Sadsangat, the company of the pious, to learn and grow from them. Otherwise, we'll never know better than our own conditioned behaviors. If we look at the world of Rajagun, the quality of a passionate, ambitious, energetic mindset, also known as the mindset higher than the Tamagun. This mindset that seeks and chases our own passions, expansions of worldly gains, properties, cars, electronic devices, clothes, another lifestyle, another social class, better work prospects, a relationship. Whatever the worldly gain we desire, we will seek it within this mindset. But the passionate mindset will always want more and more and more, like a never-ending expansion or accumulation of material wealth, a focus on our own desires. In this endless chase of temporary satisfaction, the seduction of Maya will do its absolute best in the most subtle ways possible to bring those in pursuit of a worldly desire to a deeper, darker path where possible, to the Tamagun. Now, why do I say that? Because everything around us is simply a distraction to keep us from our true purpose, finding the divine. And the conditioning of our mindsets through our environments keep us distracted from finding that path. If we were to take a single example, let's look at social media. It starts with one scroll, and eventually the scrolls are now endless. Over time, this behavior shortens our focus as we're so used to streamed content in a matter of 10 seconds, and another 10 seconds, and another 10 seconds, shortening the attention span. And equally, the mind never switches off when seeing such content in such a small amount of time, which builds a restless nature within. Equally, what is portrayed within social media showcases and creates a culture of what you need to be doing or have obtained at set stages within your life. Whether it's having a certain car, buying a house, traveling the world, escaping the 9-to-5 rat race, in whatever terms or knowledge which is displayed, it effectively creates the peer pressure around us to either build or further enhance our passions towards the types of desires within. For if the environment around us is so appealing and we're seeing it at a constant rate, naturally, someone may start chasing it. And by chasing or desiring these aspects, the satisfaction gained from these elements temporarily satiate the mind for a time. creating the groundwork for the next chase. And during these chases, some will experience karmic events created through our actions, driving them down to their own darker emotions, especially when we are doing something, we're not getting the expected output from our efforts. Let's say envy. Others around me are successful and I am not. Bitterness. My colleagues are recognized, but I am not. The treatment isn't the same. Favoritism. I deserve more. Jealousy. I want a better partner. Why don't I have what you have? Anger. Life isn't fair. The economy is worsening my conditioning, yet I am working hard as I can. All of these examples, and many more, slowly building the negative mindset within, and further creating our karmic dues. These emotions, these thoughts that can come into our lives in a single instant and can spiral rapidly out of control. Like a disease, the infection starts at a single point, and over time this spreads. And as this does, emotions that can drag us straight down from our current state to the Tamagon, all due to what we desire in our lives. Now, typically speaking, there's nothing wrong with accumulate materialistic wealth or worldly relations, as we do have to live in this world, and an honest living, keep the roof over our heads, be responsible for what we start. However, in these actions of retaining what we've accumulated or pursuing our desires, depending on where these desires may lead us, may also drive us down a sea of pain. I was once speaking to someone, and they told me that they had a work training session with a few individuals who were very well established within their place of work and quite senior in their respective roles, and were quite well off in terms of standing of living. And in this session, there was a topic surrounding mental health, how it should be managed at work, what they could do to help manage their workload and carry on with their current way of life. And one of the very well-established individuals who had climbed the most senior ranks outright said, "It is practically expected, sometimes even told, that within our world we will experience the mental burnout or breakdown, signing off from work for mental health reasons, working the way we do." And most of them agreed to this statement, to say this is simply how their world works. And after hearing this, I sat down and thought to myself, if someone was aspiring, fresh out of university or college, would willingly go into a role knowing they're being told that eventually they will mentally fall to the lowest parts of themselves? No. Yet, in our pursuit of a comfortable lifestyle, better prospects, promotions, and new business, in the pursuit of what the modern day society may see this is what you require to be happy, we can equally fall down a drain of despair. Now, this is one example, but if one wanted to, they could research many different others. But the main point here, Sangaji, is be mindful of the choices we make, for even if the intention behind it is to bring us peace or happiness, the longer term or unseen effects may be adverse to what we actually desire. Sagur guni athao kin athala dekhiye vadda ve padvaho satgur milet par pava maj pad dukh badukh nanak sache naam bin kise na lathi pukh. The world ocean of the three qualities is unfathomably deep. How can its bottom be seen? If I meet with the great, self-sufficient, true Master, then I am carried across. This ocean is filled up with pain and suffering. O Nanak, without the true name, no one's hunger is appeased. Let's take a look at the world of Satguru, the quality of harmony, balanced mindset. The highest quality mindset within the Trigun. In this mindset, the actions of charity, pilgrimages, selflessness, compassion, righteousness, good deeds are followed with less emphasis on pursuit of worldly desires. In this mindset, the pursuit of knowledge becomes paramount to understand more externally and internally of ourselves, creating a layer of self-awareness with a drive to understand more of the internal passions that proceeds within, but equally generates karmic deeds. Understand, for whatever guna we are in, we are still following our own innate desires, albeit whether it be a good or a bad deed. But in these deeds, our karmic path is formed. I once recall Bhai Rishipalji telling us once that long ago there was a saint, and many people in the congregation would go to see the saint to consult them on their issues and ask for guidance. One particular gentleman came, and he went to see Babaji and said to him that he wanted to pursue a life of charity, to give, helping the needy, build an organization to support that within this world, effectively telling Babaji his passion at the time. And in that moment, Babaji said to him, "Okay, it will happen, but you'll have to come back again to do that." In that moment, due to the individual consulting Babaji, wanted to follow his own desire. And in that moment, he created his own karmic path. For him to actually clear it, he would have to come back again to do so. In the Trigun, whatever stage an individual is, we are still following our desires. The difference is that the mindset will shift across from the dark to the light, and sometimes we may go across the spectrum based on how we react or handle our emotions. And many people are caught in the realms of the guna and even struggle to break free, whether it be through our deeds, meditating and going through the illusions of the mind, or even the company we keep. All play a part in keeping us within this Maya mindset. How? Because the source of the gunas emanate from the 5 passions within: anger, greed, attachment, lust, ego. All 5 drive the very force of the Trigun, our lives, whether we feed it energy or starve the very fabric of what drives them. They will determine how the mind is shaped by our desires, conditioning ourselves to the play of Maya, continuously turning the key to karma. There are 3 qualities of the mindset that keep us here. But what about the mindset that frees us from here? The masters tell us that we must rise above all 3 states of Maya to the 4th state of consciousness, the divine. Trevarthai chauthe karvasa, kal bikal kiye ek grasa, nirmal jyot sarb jag jeevan gur, anahad shabt dikhaya. The 3 qualities are pervasive. The Lord dwells in his home, the 4th state. He has made death and birth into bite of food. The immaculate light is the life of the whole world. The Guru reveals the unstruck melody of the Shabad. Whilst the mindset of a man, of an individual, may make it more receptive or understanding to seek the divine in the company of the holy, irrespective of your standing. Like Goda, simply being in the presence of that divine soul will automatically start to soothe the erratic mind, for that person is simply experiencing the vibration resonating from that divine soul connected to the Shabad. In the presence of those masters, one will learn to build habits that prevent us from falling into the darker paths of the gunas, and provide insights to help reflect, grow, and learn from. And the masters tell us that to rise from our Maya driven desires, the mindset must be shifted from that of Maya to the divine, effectively emptying ourselves with divine blessings. There is a saying, what noise conceals, silence reveals. The world around us keeps us distracted. We are always doing or watching something to keep us occupied. In the few rare moments where we are able to reflect, then we can objectively see how much the mind races. The Guru tells us how rare is the one who understands the medicine, the remedy to calm the mind. But they also tell us that only the word of the Shabad can provide this medicine, the constant iteration, repeat, focus, and listening to what we are saying, chanting the Shabad mantra, to elevate and discipline the mindset and focus it towards a more positive train of thought, quieting the noise inside. Imagine you're meditating and suddenly a flood, just a flood of random thoughts are coming in. And even with your focus on the mantra, it's still coming in. And you may even wonder, was it always so noisy in here? And yet, even when simply thinking of that, the focus has already shifted from the Shabad mantra towards the noise. A constant stream of discipline has to be built to find that focus on the Shabad, the mantra. For when traveling the path of the divine, do we come across the countless and formless distractions and detractions that will take us away from our true self-realization externally and internally. There was once a yogi named Bangar Nath, and he was a well-known recluse with followers who lived a life of meditation, preaching the divine word, renounced all sorts of worldly living, but lived off the fruits of those who were actively involved in worldly living. In the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, there was once a festival, and the Guru, who was traveling far and wide to spread the word of the divine, also lived a life as a householder, married with kids. And Bangar Nath did not agree to this way of living, for he lived a very recluse lifestyle and he believed his way was the only way. And so he's seeing this, he felt there was a clash and decided to debate with the Guru, question his way of life as to why he had not chosen Bangar Nath's way, his way, what he considered the right way. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji heard him speak and looked at him, smiled, and said, "You have not cleansed your inner self of the body pot. Your thoughts have burnt your flower, whilst distancing and repudiating the household life. You go to the very same people begging. Other than their offering, you gain nothing with the divine." The yogi felt angered by the Guru's statement. And as someone who did so much meditation, and in doing so achieved so much spiritual prowess, tried to use his power against the Guru, but to no avail. The Guru simply sat deep in his meditation. And in return, he smiled and said, "I may have so much power that I push anyone aside by simply speaking. But without the divine, these powers are mere moments like the shadow of the cloud. Bangaranath, feeling humbled, simply bowed in respect to the master and understood the message being delivered by the true master. Even when pursuing the path of the divine, it doesn't necessarily mean we'll get the results we want, especially where the five thieves come into play. To make sure we don't fall prey, we have to stay in Sangat, be a contributing member to society, meditate on the divine, but serve without the expectation of reward in return for the divine towards mankind. A selfless act to build humble origins, curb the desires driven by the five thieves, to build the quality mindset, the true quality mindset. In Gurbani, there's a saying, Jeha seve te hove, je challe tise rejai. As you serve him, you will become like him, as you walk according to his will. The quality of the mind will be dictated based on our driving force. If we want to become divine driven, then we must serve the divine, follow his teachings, perform that sangat, selfless service, meditation to help us get there with divine blessings. Or, if we want to stay Maya driven, then simply keep following our desires and remain trapped in the dragon. But if we want to rise above the dragon, then only we can take the action based on the manuscripts provided by the true masters. But it's up to us to make that effort. I remember when Sangat of Divine Light first started, and I first joined the Seva, and after getting a bit more involved in the Seva, immediately had a thought, a vision. And I saw myself, very random picture, in nice looking garbs, quite stylish, smiling. And after seeing that, I thought the purpose of what we are doing isn't to become someone, but rather no one. I had no interest in that whatsoever, and yet that vision came. And then immediately I had another thought, another vision. I saw myself again, but this time in simple clothing, sitting against the hard ground with a long kirpan beside me, with no smile. But this was also a vision of someone. And I reflected and I realized that even the thought of becoming no one still coincided with someone. The masters say empty yourself, but when I was pursuing these actions of Siva, the Maya-driven mindset was looking to drive and inflate the ego. Even when the intention is to lose yourself in the Siva, the subtlety of Maya will do what it can to take you away from the path of the divine. So we must remain vigilant to not feed the five thieves, remain true to our purpose, and build the real quality within us. For even when we least expect it, Maya will do anything to plant the seed that spreads doubt, chaos, anger, frustration, and other similar thoughts within. The masters say to achieve the full state of mind, we must become nothing. To become nothing, we have to lose everything. Like a reverse Uno card. We're not taking, we're losing. But only in this loss do we gain everything. What do we lose? The very identity of ourselves created through the conditioning of our environments, which drives the dragon. And in our path seeking the divine, we will experience the events and opportunities to lose ourselves within the Shabbat. Let's look at another example. Chandu Shah. Chandu Shah was a wealthy banker at the time of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, and he held contempt for this master and what they stood for. But interestingly enough, Chandu Shah had a daughter and saw there may be some benefit to marrying his daughter into the Guru's household. But his marriage proposal for the Guru's son was rejected. And in that moment, Chandu Shah felt slighted and he could not let this go. Chandu Shah allowed bitterness to root within him. And in doing so, he slandered the Guru to others, to the emperor, and was also responsible for the inhumane torture methods of the Guru, all for feeling slighted, which eventually turned into a deep-rooted hatred, leading Chandu Shah down their deepest, darkest desires. And even after Guru Arjan Dev Ji's passing, he was still bitter, and then decided to target Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, and again began slandering, and again to the emperor. But this time, it was Chandu Shah who received the punishment. And in doing so, he lost everything he considered dear to him, going down a path of ruin, falling down into the world of Tamagun, because the very reputation he spent a lifetime creating around himself, his identity, was blackened. And that was his feeling. And from that feeling led to his own self-destruction. Chit chale vit javano sakat dol dolai bahar dund viguchiya gar mein vaste suthai. The consciousness of the wicked, faithless cynics wanders around in search of transitory wealth, unstable and distracted. Searching outside of themselves, they are ruined. The object of their search is in that sacred place within the home of the heart. Understand that the thoughts and actions driven by the dragon will determine our reactive nature to the preconditioned karma we will experience whilst going through life. In which case, certain events or situations that may be perceived as negative, that affect us emotionally, as negatively for a prolonged period, may slowly take us through the darker spectrum of the dragon. Let's take a mirror. If one can consider on the other side of the mirror, the dragon, and look at ourselves objectively, one can see the many reflections and reactions our behaviors emanate within the dragon, helping us understand where our conditioned behaviors lie, and that a self-reflective and a self-aware mindset is key to unraveling the many shades of Maya within us, understanding the quality of our mindset. So it's important to keep our mind focused on the Shabad mantra when performing the actions of Sangat, Seva, meditation, to ensure we don't fall prey to the emotional turmoil, the chaos of the mind. For any obstacle or events we may face, the mind will race in 10 directions, but the divine will keep it still. And if you ever need guidance, then seek a true spiritual master, as they will guide you in the way you require it. So to wrap up, Sangatji, the quality of the mind is influenced through our innate desires, whether it be Maya or divine driven. Whatever is driving us inside will determine the level of the quality of mindset within the dragon. And to rise above the dragon to the fourth state, the highest quality, the quality of the divine, you have to listen to the divine teachings, sit in the Sangat, perform that seva, meditate on the Shabad mantra, and with blessings, may the rope of the dragon be removed, so we can rise, thrive, and flourish in the way we are meant to. Sangatji, it seems our journey together has come to an end. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for the opportunity to reflect, and I beg for your forgiveness for anything I've said. May God bless you all. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.